Hey, today's episode is brought to you by Dogs Dig Doug Pet Care. That's right, I'm Doug. I dig the dogs. They dig me. If you didn't know, I own my own pet care business here in Los Angeles, and I've been doing it for 12 years. So if you ever need your dog walked, hiked, got to get out of town, want some overnight boarding, I'm your guy. I have two of my own dogs, Waffles and Penny, and they love when other dogs come over and play. So hit me up at dogsdigdougpetcare@gmail.com.
What an asshole! Podcasting from Basshole Studios in Hollywood, California. You're listening to I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass. We've all been one, so let's talk about it. Now, here's your host, Doug Bass.
He's an asshole, sir.
He's an asshole.
Hello, assholes. What's up? Welcome to I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass. I am your host, Doug Bass. Thanks for joining us here on the podcast. If you are watching us on YouTube, I do have video for this show, so go on to YouTube at the channel Doug Bass Comedy, and you can watch the show there with video. We did do this show via Zoom, the interview, so there are a couple moments where, you know, the internet gets delayed and stops for a second or two. That's the day we're living in, of course, with Zoom interviews, but, you know, it's all good. It's all still all quality interviews and Audible and all that good stuff. We have a great show today. We have comedian Alex Hooper, who is currently on NBC's America's Got Talent. He is a roaster. He is funny. I've known him a while now, and he's a great guy. So we're going to jump into the show right away with Alex Hooper. Hope you enjoy. Well, welcome to I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass. My guest today is stand-up comedian Alex Hooper. Alex, thanks for being on the Asshole podcast. I appreciate it.
It's always been my dream to admit to the world that I am an asshole. So I'm happy to be here.
I know it's not the most flattering title to be approached to be on, but, you know.
Funny enough, I kind of own the title. Like, somebody a couple years ago called me a professional asshole, and I've embraced that title ever since. So I'm happy to be called an asshole.
I mean, why not, right? I mean, I feel like we've all been one. And speaking of you being an asshole, you have appeared on America's Got Talent in the past, back in 2018, I believe, season 13.
Yep. That's correct.
And you are on right now as well, currently.
Yeah.
Now, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big
and I'm
deal.
there because I'm an asshole.
Exactly. And now, like, so your first appearance on that show. I mean, I've watched that show when it first started. I watched it more when like Howard Stern was a judge because I really enjoyed him. But I watched, you know, your first time on there, and you're a professional roaster. I mean, you know, you're a stand-up comic. You roast people. That's what you do. That's part of your comedy. And it's interesting that, you know, when you're on that first appearance, everyone hates you in the audience. It's great. I mean, it's super funny, and the judges seem like, I mean, I don't know how much you can talk about the show. I know you have.
I can talk about season 13 as much as I want.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the past is fine. This season, I can't reveal too much.
Exactly. I understand.
I can tell you, like, yeah, we can talk season 13 all day.
Cool. So season 13, when you're on there, I know, like, the judges, like, you know, they look like, you know, they're in left field all of a sudden when you come out there and start insulting them. And it's great, their reactions and everything. But it's like, I don't understand, like, all right, like Howie Mandel, like he buzzed you immediately, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm like,
that's what I thought too. And he later told me that he just got really caught up with what the crowd was doing,
right? And
so he had trouble seeing me for the performance because it was so loud in there. Like, I cannot. Like, it is such a unique experience to have 3,000 people scream at you from anger and hatred at the same time, and to be standing there by yourself, just taking it.
Yeah,
I can think of very few other people that have ever been through anything like that. And how he told me, he's like, when I came back this season, he's like, last time I was here, I got caught up with the crowd. They didn't like you, and so I thought I didn't like you. And then I went back and watched what you did, and I thought, this is amazing. This is hilarious. Like, I can't believe this guy did this. And he gave me the credit that I deserved, which is one of the reasons why I'm as far along on the show right now. I'm currently a quarterfinalist on season 15.
Yeah.
So redemption is mine. I came back when everybody said I should definitely definitely not go back. And I mean, that audience, they thought they were done with me forever. Like
I know.
The common theme was good. Get out of here and never come back. And I was just like, oh, you think that hurt me? That only made me so much stronger, you dumb idiots.
Exactly. Well, like, first of all, it's great exposure for you as a comedian. Like, you know, win or lose, progress or not. It's like, you know, millions of people are watching the show, and even if they hate you, it's like they're laughing at what you're doing because it is funny. And it's like, and the insults, like, yeah, like a roast is a roast, even though that show may not be set up for that particular, like, you know, format, but it's true, a lot of the jokes that you do on there. And it's like, you know, yeah, it's like,
oh yeah, even
like, let's play just a small snippet from this season, your last appearance.
Howie, what? Look at that marvelous head. You weren't born, you were hatched. Howie, I'm sorry. These are just jokes. Remember when you were a comedian?
Why are you laughing?
Heidi, I'm so sorry you're not here, but I understand why you can't be here today. You are a Sports Illustrated model, and I'm sure you're off on their seniors tour. On to the lady who puts the more in amor. Hello, Sofia Vergara.
Hello.
I love you.
Oh, come on. That's
That's great. I mean,
they cut my Sophia jokes, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
I did not let her off that easy.
Yeah, I was wondering, because I was like, either that's a good play by you, because like there's always one judge on this show, like Heidi or like Sophia, that like is not gonna get it. I feel like, you know, it's like they're not comedians, they don't watch a lot of comedy, maybe. But like they're always like, it's like, how is that not funny? How do you not see that being funny? So I was like wondering.
Sure, and the thing is, I was surprised when they cut him because she actually really enjoyed it in the moment. She was laughing at all the jokes. She even said like, "I want you to come back and destroy me. I love you so." Like, and the jokes that I said about her, I'll tell you what they were. I said, Sophia is from Columbia. If you've ever heard her speak, you know I don't mean the university. I said, you sound like a chihuahua in a blender set to high. And then I said, I can't think of one reason why you're famous, but I can think of two. And I thought, I was
That's
like, those
great.
are clean, those are bangers.
Yeah.
And when they cut them all, I was a little disappointed. But in the end, you just have no control over that.
You have no control over it, and it's got to be, you know, and they voted you through this time, which is amazing, and congratulations.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
And it's got to be weird. I mean, this season in particular, since there's no audience because of COVID. So, like, that is a big part of America's Got Talent, I would think, right?
Certainly. Well, I mean, the reason why that first clip from season 13 went so viral is because that audience is so angry at me. And for me to just be flamboyantly staring them in the face and little tail and just kind of just taking all these hits, it's what people reacted to so much, is that I was just standing up there taking this hatred and I wouldn't stop giving it to them. So to not have the audience this time definitely felt weird. I mean, you're in a 3,000 seat theater and you're looking at 3 people.
Yeah,
it's just bizarre.
Now, do you think like not having the crowd there, I mean, especially this show is, I mean, I always say like the comedians on this show have it the hardest, I feel, because it's built more for like the dancers, the singers, the avant-garde stuff that you've never seen before. And then the comedian comes on and, you know, either this crowd gets it or they don't. And it's a large crowd, and you know you're up against like all different elements, and now you're doing it with no audience whatsoever. Whether they're gonna boo you, laugh, be in the middle somewhere, and now you just have to rely on the 3 or 4 judges laughing, and it's got to be like a weird experience to perform to that.
To be honest, I mean, you do comedy in LA. Yeah. Who's better suited to perform for nobody?
No, it's true.
Us?
That is true.
Like,
yeah.
that's what I told. There were a couple other comedians backstage that were on the show. They were auditioning the same day, and we were talking, and they were kind of in the same mood. Like, what are we going to do? And I was like, guys, we've been preparing for this forever.
It's an open mic. Yeah.
Exactly what to do in this situation.
Right.
So I wish the audience had been there, because honestly, I don't think the outcome would have been different. I think the clip would be a little bit more exciting,
right.
But I think I still would have been able to flip the judges on this.
Do you think the audience would have booed this time as much?
Yes, but I think they would have, when they realized the judges were enjoying it this time around, I think they are so influenced by what the judges are thinking that they would have gone along with it and been like, oh, wait, are we supposed to think this guy's funny? Well, they're laughing at him, so they think it's funny, and we idolize them, so we must think this guy is funny.
That is true, because the first time you were on, they were kind of like, they seemed very insulted or, you know, shocked almost.
So, I mean, we were continually told that the judges have no idea what you're going to do. Basically, they have a sheet of paper, and it will say Alex Hooper, comedian, and that's all they know.
That's all they get.
So that's all they get. They didn't know I'm coming in there to just light them on fire and reduce them to a pile of ashes. They had no idea. So Simon, who can take the criticism, was all for it and thought the shit was hilarious.
He's the best.
It was, and he, you know what? I never would have thought I would like him so much. And him and I've never actually met him in person other than just auditioning for the show.
Right.
But the little interactions we've had just from stage to have been so nice. And he's been the guy that has supported me more than anyone. And I thought it would have been Howie, because Howie, you were a weirdo. You used to blow a rubber glove up on your head.
Right. It's like he's changed, or like, I don't know. It's like, that's why your joke, remember when you were a comedian, was like hysterical to me. I mean, I'm like, yeah, like you are the one that should be getting this, and like, you know, sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, but
and that's the thing, is just like, I think Simon saw right through me and realized that, oh, this is just an act. Like, he's just up there just having a goof, just being silly. He's like, I look at it as like, I'm a court jester, and I'm the only one who's allowed to come into this kingdom and make fun of these kings and queens.
Absolutely.
Nobody else is allowed to, but I've been given permission, and Simon got that immediately. The other ones,
right. You got to win them over a little bit. And I love when you call the audience peasants, as you're that's perfect for them, because it was my fuck you moment. It was so loud in there, Doug, that I literally could not hear myself think. I couldn't even like start speak, because every time I would go to speak, the audience would scream so that nobody could hear me to try to shut me down. And I literally was seconds away from just going, you know what? Fuck all of you. And that's hard for that show, because you literally have to give them what you're gonna do, right? You can't just like improvise, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, the producers knew exactly what was going to happen up there,
right? But
the calm down peasants, like, you know, in reacting in the moment, they can't stop you from doing that, obviously. So when I said, like, my brain was saying "fuck you," and my heart kind of knew, it's like, that's not the answer. No, you could have something better. And somehow calm down peasants is what came out. And that tended to be the line that resonated the most with people.
Right.
And I think that's why I got the Lord Farquaad reference so many times. I was like wearing red, calling the audience peasants. Like,
I love on this season that you approach Terry Crews and you're like, I'm not making fun of you, buddy. Like, we're like, that's a good choice, I think, because like I wouldn't want to run from that guy if he gets pissed.
Well, this next round he might get a little pissed.
All right. Well, we'll have to tune in and see. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. So now I also ran into you at the park a week or two ago. Now you do this tightrope walking stuff in the parks in LA. Is that what it's called? Is that fair to call it that, tightrope walking?
Slackline.
Slackline.
So it's very similar. Yeah, it's very similar to a tightrope. However, a tightrope stays completely taut, whereas a slackline bounces and moves from side to side. It's a little bit looser, so that you balance with it, obviously, but it's more you flow with whatever the line is doing, and you have a lot more control over it than you would a tightrope.
How long have you been doing this?
3 years.
Wow. It looks. It looks really hard. I mean, I'm guessing it is.
Yeah, in the beginning, it's extremely hard. I mean, it feels almost impossible to do it in the beginning just because it's so wobbly and your muscles aren't used to it. And it just takes practice like anything else. Like, I mean, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. And it became like this very gentle meditation for me. I go to the park and I set it up and I put on headphones and I'm just kind of in my own world while I'm up there. And it gets me outside. It's super fun. It makes me, everything about me is so much stronger, my brain and my physicality, because of slacklining. And I'm glad I found it. It's a weird activity, but
now
I love it.
How high do you go on this thing?
So normally I set it up like 3 or 4 feet off the ground. But I did try to high line once, which is when you are way up in the air. I was about 70 feet.
Oh, wow.
We were over a canyon, trying to walk it across a canyon.
Now, are you tied to something? Yeah.
I don't have a death wish, like people said, like, people are like, oh, why don't you just go up there and just do it? It's like, cause I don't want to die.
Right.
Idiot. Like,
you're not joining the circus. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing enough that I'm trying to walk across a 1-inch piece of rope that's 70 feet in the air? Like, do I have to die if I fall?
Now, how far did you go on the 70-foot one? Like how?
Oh, I couldn't. I never even made it to a full stand. I was. I got myself out there, like, because you have to kind of sit on it and edge yourself off the cliff until you're about 15 feet away from the cliff, so there's no danger anymore.
Right.
And as soon as I tried to, like, you have to lay down on the line, put your foot behind you, and somehow get to a standing position. It's incredibly difficult, and it's something I can do.
Yeah.
But it was my first time trying it.
Well, yeah.
This was back in October. And the sweat and the fear just kind of took over. And so I took what you call whippers, which is when you fall under the line, your leash catches you, and you literally then have to, so you're hanging under the line 70, just dangling 70 feet up, and you have to climb up your leash, grab, and then flip yourself back over onto it so you can be back in a seated position to try to stand up again.
Wow.
And I went out there twice. Each time I was out there for about 10 to 15 minutes trying to do it. And I came back and I felt like I'd been hit by a bus.
Oh my
I
God.
was never,
I mean,
I've never been more physically beat up than just trying to do that.
Yeah, just the height alone would freak me out. I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah. And that's what I said to them. My friends that I was with, they were like pros at this, and they were like, dude, you did really good. And I was like, dude, I've never felt this much pain. And they were like, oh, you're hung on for your life before? Yeah, I'm not surprised that your arms are killing you. You literally were hanging for your life.
Yeah, that's scary. So when did you start doing stand-up?
March 9th, 2009. So I'm about 11 and a half years deep at this point.
Nice. And you also do roast battle at the Comedy Store, correct?
Yeah, so that's how I got to America's Got Talent. Is the roasting thing, it just came out of nowhere. Like, I never even wanted to do roast battle. I just enjoyed watching it. And then a friend of mine, Jason Van Glass, who's an LA comedian, needed a partner to do it with, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it once. Right. And we just had this epic fucking cat fight where it was just back and forth, and the whole belly room at the Comedy Store started chanting, and they were just yelling our names, and the whole room exploded. And I never had my comedy reacted to like that before. Like, people laugh and stuff, but never have I had a whole room screaming and banging on the ceiling while I told jokes.
That's amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah. That feeling is just like,
the first time you did roast battle, did that kind of change your look on maybe a direction you would take your comedy?
I didn't think it would. Like, I literally said, I'm never doing this again. And then immediately I was like, that was it. That was as good as it's ever going to get. And then Brian Moses, who's the host of the show, was like, you already have another battle. I've already put you on. You're going to be a main event. You're in 3 weeks. You're against this guy. And I was like, fuck, I didn't even want to do this again. He's like, you're in it now, dude. And I quickly rose to the ranks and got really good at it and became the LA champion, a title I held for over a year. Yeah. And it just, it's one of those things where you don't know where your life's taking you. So you just pick, you go with the direction that it seems to be getting traction.
Exactly. You fell into it and it works for you and you're great at it. And I haven't done a roast battle yet. That's something where I'm like, I think it could be fun, but yeah, again, I'm like, I don't know if that's really my thing or not. You know, like I'm sure I can come up with some insults and stuff. But again, like you said, it's like it's a different kind of take on stand up, and I love watching it. But I'm always like,
it's super fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very. And so you and I also have something else in common. We both went to Point Park University in Pittsburgh.
Woo, baby.
Man. Now, what year were you at Point Park?
2000 to 2008. Or I got there in late 2004, the fall of 2004. I think is when I got there. Yeah.
I graduated in 2003, and I had moved out here to LA and took my last semester out here with an internship. But Point Park.
I love Pittsburgh, man.
I haven't. So do I. But I haven't been back since I haven't been back since 2003, which is crazy to me.
Me neither. And I was supposed to record I was recording my album there in April of this year. Obviously, that didn't happen. But I was so excited to return to a city that I love so much and record my second album.
So you were going to record your new album in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I had it all set up. My label was flying with a label called A Special Thing. They were flying out there with me. We had the venue all booked. We had the flyer made. Like we were already selling tickets.
Oh, wow.
So we were there ready to go.
Yeah. And
then, of course, it was supposed to record on April 11th. So I don't have to tell you what happened there.
Right. Exactly.
But I love Pittsburgh, and I haven't been back, and I'm so excited.
I'm always for myself. I'm always like, why haven't I gone back yet? I'm like, I lived there for 4 years almost, and it's like it's a great city to be in and hang out. Lots of arts and comedy and whatnot, theater. But every time people I
was a Ducky tour guide there.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, you remember the Duck tours?
Yeah.
So that was my job literally for 3 years, was to talk about how great Pittsburgh was. And if you do that 1,500 times, it gets in your head and you're like, fuck yeah, this is a great city.
It is a great city.
I love it here.
When people always ask me like where I went to college, I always say like Point Park, and people are like, what? What's that? Like, what is that? Like, and I'm like, they're like, you mean Pitt? I'm like, yeah, Pitt. I'm just like, I don't feel like explaining like what it is, even though it is like a really well-known like school for the arts and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's a big.
It's just a small liberal arts college. I always called it Pulled Pork University.
Pulled Pork University. That's good. Yeah. It's a big football town. I mean, one thing I like that you did is you got to go to the Super Bowl this past Super Bowl, right?
So I didn't actually get to go to the Super Bowl, the game, but I got to go to Miami for Super Bowl week and interview a bunch of the players during media day, which was so exciting for me. Like I love football. I'm a Ravens fan because I'm from Baltimore originally, but I was in Pittsburgh when they won the Super Bowl in 2005, and that was just so fucking cool to be there.
Yeah. This thing you did with Craig Gass, the interview at the Super Bowl. I'm gonna just play a little second of this. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
He doesn't watch football. He doesn't know anything about football. He literally just found out Tom Brady's not here, and he can't understand it.
Will you guys just sign it? I'm trying to get some players to sign it to send to Tom.
Alex, they're not supposed to do autographs during the thing, so they can't do that.
For me.
Does it feel weird that you're sitting in Tom Brady's seat?
That was just a great segment. Like, you just think everyone is Tom Brady, or like he's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Mahomes is like, his reaction to that is just classic.
Dude, it was so fun. Craig Gass has been a friend of mine for years. He's taken me on the road with him. He's and for the past few years, I've been helping him. He's done the Super Bowl gag, but I've helped him write for it. Like, I've just given him questions to ask the players and come up with different themes and things like that. And this year, the main guy he usually takes couldn't be there, so he called me up and was like, Alex, if you can do this, I'll fly you out to Miami. We'll go to these like press things and stuff. And I was like, fuck. Yes, 100%. I'm so down for this. And then when we came up, the actual theme by her name's Courtney Cronin. She's a great comedian as well and a roast writer, and she came up with that theme, and just like we just ran with it, and just being in that energy on that floor and getting to meet these players, and they were all pretty open and pretty cool about it, and we were allowing them to like roast me and stuff like that too. So it was just one of those experiences where I was very just, genuinely happy and honored to be there.
That's awesome. Now, you're also a big dog person. I am as well. I walk dogs professionally. So you have pugs, right?
I do. I got 2 of them.
You have 2 pugs. Wow. They're adorable dogs. My wife always wants a pug, and we haven't gotten a pug yet, but we have 2 dogs as well. And you also released a pug yoga calendar. Is that correct?
I did. In 2018, I made these silly Instagram posts of me just doing yoga with my dog, and the internet just kind of like everyone on my social media was like, "This is hilarious. What are you going to do with this?" And I was like, "I don't know, nothing." And it's just for fun. And then people were like, "Make a coffee table book, make a calendar, make mugs, do anything." And I told Troy Conrad, who's an amazing LA photographer. You know, shoots for Comedy Central and and the Comedy Store and all these people. I told him the idea while we were at a music festival, and he was just like, "Alex, this is a great idea. We're gonna do it." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe we will." He's like, "No, Alex, why are we not doing it right now? Like, we need, when we get back from here, we're shooting this calendar." And, you know, it was one of those moments where I put so much love into it. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to make something that people will be proud to own, not just some rinky-dick shitty Vistaprint calendar. We're going to take beautiful photos. We're going to design this thing, and we're going to really put out something that we can be proud of. And by a miracle, you know, it got to the Ellen show before she was a total monster, as all of this comes out.
Good timing. You don't want to be on there now, probably.
Yeah, no, not so much. Actually, I don't know. As a professional asshole,
actually, any of us would jump to be on Ellen again right now. It's just like, oh, you're an asshole? Me too. All right, that's fine. Let's get over that and do the interview.
Ellen, we can bond. It got to her, and she featured it on her show, which was one of those moments where I was like, this was one of my stupidest ideas ever. But because I just put so much love into it, and I put the work in to make it something good, then look how far it got. It got to like the biggest daytime show.
Absolutely.
In the universe.
People love anything with dogs on it. Like, you want to, you know, raise money for something. Like, I do a show called The Dog and Funny Show, which is just me doing stand-up comedy and, you know, talking about my experiences with dogs as a dog walker in LA. So it's like, you know, it's like, and I've been able to like tour around a little bit with that around the country. But like, again, dogs are like just bring people together, and it's something that everyone can connect with. And plus, yoga in LA, there you go. You know, I mean,
exactly. I mean, and the funny thing is, I don't even do yoga. Like,
you don't do yoga?
I don't. Like, I've done it a bunch of times, but I don't do it in any sort of regularity.
Oh, all right. I thought you were like a yogi.
No, that's kind of the fun of it, is that people it's just me playing another character. Like, I even like, that's why I consider the roasting thing too. Like, I consider it a character. Like, it's a big part of me. But this is just another thing that I can do. Like, when I'm on America's Got Talent this season, like, I have I say like, "Hi, I'm Alex Hooper. I'm a roaster." And so that crowd knows me as just, I'm a roaster. Right. So they might not know all the other things, but I think that's part of being just a fully formed comedian. And I'm not fully formed yet. I'm on my way there, but you just have to embrace all these different facets of things you can do, and the more things people know you for, then, you know, the bigger your audience becomes.
Exactly. So, and like, when you are a roaster on AGT, and you wear these like amazing like outfits as well, these costumes, which is part of your, you know, your persona, your character, you as a comedian. And I think like when people first see you come out there, like, you know, with this outfit with the tail and everything, they may not know what to expect, which is like the best part, I think, of your act, because then you just become like, you know, an asshole and start roasting these people, and they're like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that," you know.
One of my favorite things is that people are like, how can you wear that and think he can roast people? And I'm like, that's the point, you dumb fuck.
Right,
like,
exactly.
I have turned myself into the most roastable thing on the planet right now.
Now, what inspires these costumes, these outfits that you've come up with?
Music festivals mainly.
Are you a raver? Do you go to like music festivals or raves, that kind of thing?
I wouldn't consider myself a raver,
Okay.
but I do go to a ton of music festivals, Burning Man, stuff
Right.
like that. So I consider myself more a burner than I would
A burner.
raver.
That's right.
But,
Yeah.
A burner, yeah. But that's the thing is, like, people at music festivals, like, and Burning Man and stuff like that, they are so genuine in the way that they express themselves, and they're fearless in what they wear and how they want to present themselves to the world. And I was so inspired by that when I started going to festivals and seeing these people wearing these elaborate and like amazing and sometimes hilarious costumes. And I one day just kind of thought I was at a festival and I was on acid and I was wearing the thing that I wore on AGT the first time, and I was like, I had a roast battle coming up in like a week and a half, and I was like, I looked at my friend who's a big fan of roast battle, and dude, what if I wore this?
Yeah.
Like on stage. And he was like, what? And I was like, it's a perfect situation. Like, I'm not going to wear it to do stand up, but what if I could wear this like to just roast somebody?
Right. So you pick this outfit or these outfits like for specific moments, like AGT, roast battle. But if you would just do a set, like if you're doing a club in Chicago or something, are you going to wear that?
No,
or are you just going to be?
I wear a kimono. I wear kimonos.
Okay.
I have it's a very just like jeans, black t-shirt, but I always have a very colorful kimono, usually over top. So I add, it's like my splash of color in it. It's my like accent piece to show that it's still very uniquely me.
Totally.
But I don't need to go on there wearing a rainbow unitard with my junk hanging out. Those very elaborate costumes are more reserved.
Now, when you do roast battle with these costumes, do you reveal yourself wearing these on stage, or you have like a robe on or like a kimono?
I've done it both ways. The first time I ever did it, I came out in a trench coat, so nobody knew. And as soon as I took it off and revealed what I was wearing, I had a bunch of plants in the audience that all started chucking glow sticks at me. And I had this electronic music playing, and I had my fiber optic whip that glows rainbow colors. And so I was just like, nobody had ever done that before in roast battle.
That's kind of cool because it's kind of like whoever you're battling doesn't see it beforehand and can't like come up with something last minute or whatever. So you reveal it, and then it's kind of like another weapon in your arsenal to like
for sure
battle them with.
And that one specifically, because now obviously people expect that of me. They're like, oh, what's Alex going to do this time?
Exactly.
But that first time, I mean, I flabbergasted my opponent. I stunned him. It was basically like in basketball, how they do the fake outs or whatever. They try to like make you just go like and flail on your shot. That's exactly what I did to Pat Barkley, friend of mine, one of the best roast joke writers I've ever met, but he had no idea what the fuck to do when I came out, and I spoke in this voice like this and kept flipping my little tail, and he was like, what the fuck is this? Like, and you could just tell he was pretty furious at me actually afterwards. It was really funny. I went up and I was like, hey man, and he goes, I just need a day, and he walked away from me. And
he couldn't even talk to you. Oh my God.
And there was big talk like, oh, was this cheating? Like, because half the people were like, this was amazing, and half of the other community was like, he cheated. You can't do that. He turned himself into something else that wasn't him. Pat wasn't roasting Alex. He was roasting whatever the fuck that thing was. And
there's no rules.
I was like, no, it's not a rule for one. I gave him all the fodder in the world to hit me even harder.
Yeah.
Like he immediately, if he had thought about it for a second, he could have shut me down on the spot for what I was doing.
Yeah.
But
you took him by surprise.
It was just, exactly. Yeah. It was that baffling moment where he kind of looked and was like,
it was when he realized you had a tail. He was like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come right back with Alex Hooper.
Hang tight. We'll be back with this week's Asshole right after this. You're listening to the I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass podcast.
All right, we are back with stand-up comedian Alex Hooper from America's Got Talent. Well, Alex, this is the I'm an Asshole podcast, and what we do on here is we talk about a time in your life that you may have been an asshole. It could be a single incident. It could be a chunk of time in your life. You can be one right now. Sometimes you are on AGT to the judges, whatever you want to talk about. Let's, what do you have to share with us today?
So here's the funny thing is like, because I've talked about how I am, like, I call myself a professional asshole and stuff like that. And I pick my moments now, because as most people know me as this very loving, positive, optimistic person, I just tend to like beam light out of me and I try to inspire others. And for the most part, people know me as a non-asshole, which is why me being an asshole on TV is so much fun,
right?
Because all my friends, that people that know me, they're like, oh, this is just a character.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world go, I fucking hate this guy. He's the worst.
Yeah.
But all that comes because I used to, for so many years of my life, I hated myself. I thought the world was against me. And because of that, I lashed out on everyone and tried to bring them down to my level of misery, because I thought that was the only way to make the playing field fair.
Okay.
And specifically, I mean, I was really bad in middle school, going into high school. This is when I was like full on, like I would call my mother the C word.
Oh,
I
wow.
would kick her. I would sit in the backseat of the car and kick her chair as she drove. I would constantly destroy anything that was given to me for any reason. Like if you gave me a gift, I would destroy it in front of you just to
You would destroy a gift? Like you would just break it or something?
Yep.
Wow.
I would do.
Just because you didn't like what it was, or you were just being an asshole?
No,
yeah.
It had nothing to do with the gift. It was just to show you I will not be happy no matter what.
Challenge me. Yeah.
100%. I had chosen a life where I was going to fail miserably. I was going to take people with me, and I was never going to show you that I had any joy within me. And a lot of this stemmed because I have really terrible eczema. A lot of people, you know, it's harder to notice now because I'm on some really strong medication. I actually have to inject myself.
Yeah,
every 2 weeks.
I listened to your podcast a little bit, Achilles Heel. And I like where you go with that. We're just talking about problems that you have outside of your comfort zone. So I like what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's my thing is like the eczema. Like it for so many years it forced me into this dark hole of my brain because my skin hurt so bad and I felt like this monster. And I thought, what God could possibly turn me into this?
Right.
So fuck everything, fuck the world. And where it really got bad was in school. I would never do my homework. And then
where did you grow up?
Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah. So come to 11th grade, I am a full on just beast. Like I will say anything. I will do anything as long as it's negative, and I'll do it. And it got to the point where I had this first year teacher in 11th grade English, and her name was Miss Tuttle. And it was like, for me, like she announced it on the first day. She's like, guys, this is my first year teaching.
Oh, she's a rookie.
Exactly, and she let us all know.
Oh, never do that.
Smile, like guys, like this is gonna be so fun. You're my first class, and I was like a hunter that just saw the biggest deer than I ever from point blank range with my arrow. I was like, oh, this motherfucker is about to die.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna eat for a long.
You saw an
time.
Opportunity, yeah.
Oh, I charged full speed, man. I was the rhino, just like, oh, I'm gonna break up this fucking zebra.
Were you like a class clown in high school or no?
Yes and no. I was more so just I was an asshole.
Yeah.
I didn't I thought I was being funny, and sometimes I was.
Right.
But more so, I wanted chaos.
Yeah.
I wanted destruction.
You wanted the attention.
I wanted Exactly. It was mainly that I wanted attention, and my way of getting attention was to cause the complete breakdown of classroom ethics as we knew them. So I came up with something. Whenever I could tell that Miss Tuttle was flustered, I came up with this little saying, and I would start doing it, and then eventually the rest of the class would start chiming in, and we would just all go, I would start and I'd go, nutty tutty, nutty tutty, nutty, and then the rest of the class like, nutty tutty. She's like, guys, stop, class, please. I'm just trying to teach you here.
Yeah.
Just look at the black, and we'd all go nutty, and like just trying to like really like get in her head. And she didn't know how to control me.
Right.
She couldn't control me.
You controlled the classmates.
The only way to control. Very much so. And the only way to control me that any teacher knew was to shut me down immediately and get me out of the room. I was kicked out of class all the time. The principal, I would just show up to the office and they'd be like,
here he
Alex,
is again.
just go sit over there for the rest of whatever class period you're in right now. And they would, like, it got to the point where he wouldn't even talk to me anymore.
Like they wouldn't suspend you or anything like that?
No, I'd been suspended enough. Like,
yeah,
I really, like, they were just like, there's nothing we can do except remove him for this class period and hope he calms down for the future. And the thing is, they would talk to me and they'd be like, what are you going to do? And I didn't care.
Yeah.
At that time, I thought I had no future. So I was like, burn it all to the ground. Fuck this place. Let's do it. And the sad part about this is, Doug, I went to a magnet school for acting.
For arts,
for arts. I didn't even go to a regular high school. I went to a specialty school for something that I truly wanted to be a part of.
For acting.
And I still could not get my shit together.
So going to a magnet school, I went to a regular high school, but I did go to a performing arts program called Governor's School in New Jersey, where I grew up.
Very similar.
I got accepted to that for the summer. Don't you think, like, so the teachers that teach at this magnet school, aren't they expecting, like, oh my God, we're gonna have a bunch of actors and they're gonna be, crazy at times or speaking out or whatever?
Not so much, because my school, there were 9 different, they called them primes, essentially, like that's like a major, essentially. And acting was only one of them. There was also culinary arts, tech theater, cosmetology, writing, business. There is a leaf blower outside my place right now, and I hope you can't hear it as well as I can.
That's all right.
But so like you could go for all visual arts, multimedia, like there were a bunch of different things you could go for. So they expected us to be better behaved than, I guess, a regular high school, because it was a privilege to be there.
Right, you got in. Yeah.
But I was the only one out of my acting class that was really this rebel. Like, I couldn't believe, like, nobody else was smoking pot until senior year, and I'm a freshman, and I was just like, guys, you don't have to be an artist, okay?
Take a hit.
We're supposed to be not shit, wearing tie-dye, like, let's go pass a joint. And so for me, like, in that classroom, I didn't understand why everybody else didn't think the way I did. And because obviously when you're 15, 16 years old, you don't have the knowledge of the world to realize that everyone is different and that not everyone is going to be on the same page as you.
Right, yeah.
But in my singular, insular world, I couldn't understand why everybody else didn't want to be an asshole too. Like, if people were like, don't you think the world's a beautiful place? I'm like, let me tell you about Charles Bukowski, you dumb fuck. You don't know anything about, we are living in a dismal existence. There is no future. And like, and people they hated me for that. It's like, you're no fun.
They either would jump on your, wagon or not. Yeah, exactly.
Very much so. And most people wouldn't jump on the wagon, as I wouldn't jump on it either when I look back. Like, it's hard for me to look back at who I was, because I've done so much work on myself to be this super fun-loving person, that when I think about how big of a dick face I used to be, it just, almost like I've done the work to like get over it, but it's still like painful to think like, God, I really I lived to hurt people and to make them uncomfortable. And part of is what has led me to be such a good roaster and comedian, because I never wanted to play by the rules. And me not playing by the rules and me doing things that people said, why would you ever do that, is what got me to where I am now.
Right.
But at the time, I didn't know it was leading to anything. I thought I was going to be in jail.
Yeah, these are all like moments that you piece together after time, and you say, well, this happened for this reason, and maybe I can apply that to that, and learn from this or whatever. And this teacher that you used to essentially roast in a way, whether you knew you were doing it or not at the time. What happened to her? Did she ever like control the room? Did she just give up, or what?
Oh no, she kind of gave up. It was her first year as a teacher, first year at our school. So she's young and fresh, probably 24, 25 years old. Right. And she didn't come back next year. And I thought like, oh man, I really scared this bitch away. Like, woo, woo, woo. I was proud of myself. And then I asked my parents, I was like, did you hear that teacher is gone? And they were like, yeah, Alex, it's nothing to be happy about. She was committed. And I was like, committed to what? She wasn't committed to teaching, I'll tell you that much. And
you didn't even know what committed was at the time.
No, I didn't realize. And they were like, she went to mental institution over the summer, and she's not back to your school or maybe any other school for a long time. And me being the fucking asshole 16-year-old that I was like, yeah, that's how you fucking slam dunk, dude. That is just like, that's straight up like, it reminded me of that picture of the NBA of the dunk where like LeBron's nuts are like sitting on that guy's face.
That was like, a win for you. Yeah.
Such a win.
Now, were your parents strict? Like, how did they like deal with this?
My parents were, it's loosely strict. Like, they tried to enforce things on me, but I was always like just getting out of the house and escaping some way if I was grounded.
Escape.
Yeah, exactly. And so they were like, my parents are very supportive and they're very cool, but I wasn't really giving them any options.
Right.
So they had to lay the hammer down as much as they could. It was a lot of time, like forced therapy and stuff, which, God, I mean, you want to talk about an asshole move, dude. When I was 15, I would have to go to weekly therapy sessions, and I knew they were costing my parents about $150 to $200 an hour. So I would go in there and I would refuse to talk. I would just sit there with my arms.
You just waste the time. Yeah.
I would waste all the time. And then finally, after like 4 or 5 sessions, this guy, I finally decided I'm going to speak. And he straight up told my parents he will not speak. He will not speak. And there he's like, I think this guy, though, he's a pro. He's like, he thought he could get to me. And I was 100% dedicated to him not getting me. So
but he knows what he's doing. And you start talking to this guy.
Well, I started talking, but in my own terms.
Right.
So what I started doing is I waited about a half an hour into the session. I haven't said a word. He's staring at me, asking me questions every couple minutes. And then I looked at a picture of his family on his desk. And I said, hey, is that your daughter? And he's like, yes, it is. And she was probably like my age. And I just looked at him and I went, what do you think do you think she would like if I fucked her in the ass?
Oh my, you said that?
I said that. And this guy, looks at me and he goes, I don't want to talk like that. He's like, and I was like, oh, well, that's the only way I want to talk. So if you don't want to talk about that, I'm just going to shut down again. And then for the rest of the session, I was just silent. And so, of course, my parents are like, how did it go? And this therapist has to be like,
he wants to fuck my daughter in the ass.
Yeah. And, and I look back at that and honestly, there is that part I have a little bit of pride for, because I was so stubborn in my ways, literally was not going to back down. And when I think about moments like that, and then I think about what happened on America's Got Talent, it all kind of leads into it.
Absolutely.
Just like being so stubborn.
Because you're like, I want to push buttons, and you push this therapist button, and a part of you probably saw his reaction and was like, this can lead to something at some point. And then when you accidentally end up doing roast battle and you're like, oh, this connects in a way, from what I used to do.
For years, I was battling teachers, my parents, like any authority figure in my life. I wanted to make them hurt. And I wanted to prove to them that I was dominant and you could not control me. And the thing about it is, like, when I finally got over this whole, like, I don't want to be an asshole anymore thing. And a big part of it was I was in love with my best friend for years, and we had a horrible blow up. I thought I was going to be with her and stuff like that. And we had this horrible explosion, and it kind of got me to this place of like, I realized that she had been controlling my emotions in the same way that I was trying to control other people's emotions, but I was allowing her to do this. And then I thought, like, I'm not going to feel pain anymore. Not from you. I'm not going to allow me to be angry because of you. And all of a sudden I flipped the script, and all of these incredible things started happening in this sequentially. And I was like, whoa, like, I just turned my frown the teeniest bit the other way, and suddenly my dreams are coming true. Like, how did this happen? And that's kind of like when I realized take what you learned from being an asshole, but apply it to being a better person.
Exactly.
And think about how you made people feel in the past. Think about the things that you did and really focus on the fact that you used to bark at old people and, steal cigarettes and, yell at teachers and whatever else I used to do.
It all, adds up to who we become eventually. And sometimes, sadly, it's the only way people learn, right from wrong, or treating people one way or another, or doing it just for the laugh, like sometimes, when I was a kid, I would do things just, this is going to be funny. Like, I don't really care how this person feels afterwards. But now you look back at it, and you're like, oh my God, like this teacher that was committed, like whatever happened to her, do we know?
I have no idea. Yeah. I mean, honestly, now that we're talking about it, I'm probably going to Google her after we after we talk, because I'm just like, I kind of like, I would reach out at this point. Like, yeah. I'm not ashamed of who I was, because I didn't know any better. And if I were my parents, I wouldn't have known what the fuck to do with me. Like, for so many years, I thought I will never have kids, because if I have to deal with me,
that's that's what I'm scared of. It's like, if I have a kid and obviously there's far more worse situations than either of us have been, being an asshole. But like, it's like, what if I raise the next mass murderer or something? It's like, I don't even want that on my like oh my God, like,
I know it's
too much to think of.
It's a genuine fear. Because I know there's a part, like, I know I would shower my child with love and stuff like that. But there's a part of me that's like, but my parents showered me with love.
Right.
And I still did all that shit. And it took me years to come out of it. I mean, my parents, they never gave up on me, but there was definitely a point when they were like, we're not going to do this anymore. And we love you no matter what. But like, whatever happens to you, we're not responsible at this point. We've done everything we can. We push you into sports, into arts, into friends, into a loving place.
It sounds like you had like a great upbringing. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, you chose to do what you want, and to each their own. And it's like, everyone deals with it in different ways, and it's made you become the person. Oh,
hang on. Decline. Bam. Okay.
All good.
Are we back? Okay.
We're back.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
Yep.
We lost video for a minute. It's all good. What was I saying? Yeah. So, it's all part of who we become. And, even if you get a teacher committed, which it's kind of an amazing accomplishment as a kid, I would say.
I hate to laugh at it, but like,
I'm kind of thinking that she's watching you now on AGT, and it's all coming back to her. It's like,
oh my God, I can only imagine.
She had to check back in.
That's kind of the amazing thing about it, is I look back and I was like, wow, God, I was such a jerk. Why did I act like that? But also in the same respect, I'm like, but why did you let a 16-year-old walk all over you like that and control your emotions? And I just got to the point where I was like, it doesn't excuse what I did, but I literally just picked out a very weak person and was like, I got this,
right. Yeah.
And
you could tell, yeah.
And the fact that I pushed it as far as I did is kind of, it's almost like a testament to how I would operate in the future, of like, how close can I get to the cliff before we fall over it? Like how much can I dance on the edge before like complete annihilation happens? And when I look at things like that, it's like, man, if I just knew how to control my own emotions, I could have been doing things for a much greater good for a longer time. But obviously, you can't tell a 16-year-old to, hey, you're going to be happy in a few years. Don't worry. You're just a kid.
Right.
Because your brain doesn't understand that shit at that time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no, you're figuring everything out at that age, and there's a lot going on. It's like, no one's perfect, and you have to go through those moments to figure all that stuff out.
Definitely.
Well, that's a very funny and interesting story, I would say. I've never heard that. I've never heard that one. Committing the teacher to the mental place for the year or the summer or whatever.
I'm very not proud of it.
Oh my God.
But that's why it's fun to do a podcast like this, because like as soon as you said you're like, we go like think about a time when you were an asshole.
Yeah.
And I was like, a time.
Well, that's what I love, especially like with comics. It's like most comics have no problem being like, I'll do it right now. You want to do it today? You know, it's like other people that I've like, you know, it's like I have to coax and massage some other people. Like, don't worry, it could be something very simple. It doesn't, you know, it's not going to ruin your job or career. You know, it's like. Some people are like, let me think about it for a month and I'll get back to you. You know, it's like,
but that's why I love that you do this podcast, is because I'm not, I like talking about the person I used to be, because when you know the person that I am, that it shows you how much you can change if you believe in something and you believe in yourself and you work on it. So like, this is sometimes people go, what? You were an asshole? And I'm just like, yeah, like the biggest one you've ever met like in your life. Like right. I was the worst child, and I wanted that just chaos. And the fact that I got myself to this point, and now I'm figuring out how to be a provocateur, but in a very healthy way that does push the envelope of comedy and allow me to be this unicorn out there. Now I figured out how to harness my evil powers for good.
Exactly. And everyone knows it's in good fun, you know, the roasting. And if they don't know, then they don't have a sense of humor for that taste of comedy or whatnot. And
for sure.
And it's not for them, you know, and that happens.
I tell people this all the time. They're like when people say I'm mean, I'm just like, look, if you don't own your flaws, they will own you.
Right.
And if you're like, I tell people, I'm like, make fun of me, hit me. I'm comfortable with myself. Do you think like people, do you think I can put on a rainbow unitard and a purple tail and walk onto national television because I'm not comfortable with who I am? Fuck you, dude.
That's confidence.
I know that's 100%. And that's when you wear the confidence on you and you can use it for this, then people start to kind of realize that it is all in good fun.
Yeah. And that's a lot of, you know, this business and comedy is confidence and, you know, being who you are and not being afraid of it, you know? And
and it took me years to get there, man. I mean, that Pat Barker battle,
same here.
That was a life-changing moment for me, because I suddenly realized I can do whatever I want. And part of me before I did that battle was, I thought, are you going to do this at the Comedy Store? The Comedy Store where all of your heroes had performed ever?
Right.
And then I started thinking about it. Oh, you mean like Jim Carrey and Sam Kinison and all of these people that were Robin Williams, these people that were absolutely fearless and would do any. Jim Carrey used to pretend he was a crab for 15 minutes.
Right, exactly.
Like that.
And like, you know, the first several times he went up, like people were like, what the fuck is this? You know, and then he just kept doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's when the moment I was like, yes, the Comedy Store is the perfect place to do that, because this is where history has been made in the past.
Absolutely.
And if I want to be a part of it, then I need to be bold and take a chance on myself. And that opened me to this entire world.
And that's what's great, you know, you being on AGT and the people booing you the first time you were on. And what's going to happen? So for the season that you're on now, they're not going to have an audience at all this season, are they?
No, and I'm in and this is what's so crazy is the next rounds are live shows. So we are doing this like they're
doing those outside.
We're doing them like in studios and stuff like that. Like there's different things that they're doing. I can't talk too much about it because I don't even know all that much about it yet. But the crazy thing is, and because you're a comedian, you'll get this. I've performed one time in the past 5-6 months, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm about to go on live television to do untested jokes.
Right, exactly. There's no way to test them,
No, and there's no way for me to just get that comfort level of like, I've been on stage 100 times in the past month. This is just
right, because that's most comedians when they're doing a TV performance, they're out doing shows, you know, every day of the week leading up until the filming or whatever, and
nonstop.
Now we can't do that.
And now we can't do it. So I have to have that air of confidence right now because I'm walking out to do something that is almost unprecedented for a comedian. Like, and this is, so I mean, when I think about it, I'm terrified, and I have to turn that terror into confidence and into nervous energy where I know I'm going to walk out there and give a performance. But I've set up this next round, so it won't matter that I don't have an audience. I've come up with a very specific way to roast them where I think it's going to work no matter what. And I'm so excited for people to see what I do.
That's great. Yeah, it's a time for you to be creative. You got to think outside the box with this COVID and TV production and all that stuff. So I'm sure it's going to be great, and I wish you the best of luck on this season of AGT. Yeah. Well, AGT season 15 is that what it is?
Correct.
Season 15 on NBC. You can catch Alex Hooper on there in the next round. Live shows coming up. His comedy album Hugs, Drugs, and Pugs is available on Amazon and iTunes. You can catch him tightrope walking in LA parks. If you happen to be in a park, look out for someone walking on a tightrope. Or what is it called? I'm saying it wrong. What is it?
Slackline.
Slackline. Sorry, not tightrope. Slackline.
It's all good. It's basically the same thing.
And check out his yoga pug calendar. Where can they get that?
We don't sell it anymore.
Okay.
Just because it was such a seasonal item. Like it's hard to sell a calendar in August, So but you can look at the photos. They're like if you type in pug yoga, you'll find some of the photos online and stuff like that.
It's a vintage calendar now.
Exactly.
There you go. All right. Well, Alex, you really put yourself out there today, and I think there's only one thing left for you to do.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name's Alex Hooper, and I'm an asshole and proud of it.
There you go, folks. Alex Hooper, and he's an asshole. Well, Alex, I want to thank you for coming on today. I appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, man.
And best of luck with AGT. We're going to watch that. And, of course, don't forget to vote for him, folks. You got to dial the number and however that works.
Yes. Right? I need people.
I know. I feel like a lot of people watch and then they don't always vote, right? So you got to vote.
And that crowd doesn't like me very much. So I really need people to vote for me.
Yeah, exactly. So make sure you actually call the number on AGT and vote for Alex Hooper this year. So he needs to win. We want to see him win and become a huge millionaire off of this show. All right, Alex, thanks for being on. I will talk to you soon. This has been I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass. Remember, folks, don't be an asshole, but if you are, talk about it. Bye.
You've been listening to I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass. Please subscribe to us on all streaming platforms. Follow Doug on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Doug Bass Comedy. Thank you for listening, and remember, don't be an asshole, but if you are, talk about it. Have a good asshole story? Email us at doug@dougbasscomedy.com. We'll see you next time.